Hey everyone, so this is 11/22/63, episode 6, entitled Happy Birthday, Lee Harvey Oswald. So basically, I'm gonna get straight into this episode, and it starts off with 6 months after Walker was shot on October 16th, 1963. And you see Oswald interviewing for a position at the book depository. Oswald then gets the job a few minutes later, and then Oswald comes out of the book depository to be welcomed by an FBI agent, who welcomes Oswald back to Dallas. And it's found out this agent has talked to Marina previously, and Oswald goes to, Oswald kind of just try to walks away from him, but the agent asks Oswald loudly if he has Marina's new address. Then Oswald goes to see Marina at her friend's house, but is upset because of the fact that he feels like he needs to ask permission to see his wife. Eventually he goes to the backyard of the friend's house, and he and Marina are sitting in the backyard with their daughter, and Marina is visibly pregnant again. They then talk for a little bit, and he asks her to come home, and he says he'll think about it, and then she gets back up and says that she wants to go inside because her head hurts. And after the opening credits, Jake then comes back to the house and finds Bill asleep on the couch. Jake then looks at the notepad that's sitting on the table and finds that there's only doodles in it. He wakes Bill up and informs him that Oswald has gotten a job at the book depository earlier that day. Then Bill says it would be nice if Jake would stop by more than once a week, which I'm not that, upset at Bill for saying, because, I mean, Bill didn't have to, leave Kentucky to he didn't have to leave Holden, Kentucky to be here with Jake and do all this stuff. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do any of that, but he did it anyway. So anyway, but Jake's like, I've been taking care of Sadie since the incident at our house 6 months prior. And anyway, so Bill says he would like to place bets to pass the time, and then Jake says, no, you can't, because you need to be careful and only make small bets so that they won't draw any attention to themselves. Jake then notices George coming to the house, and they listen in, and George and also talk for a little while. I don't know what they talked about. I didn't carefully listen to what was being said. But anyway, after George leaves, Jake wonders what if Lee was playing dumb with what he was saying. And then Bill posits that George was just joking, but Jake's like, you know what, that doesn't make any sense, mainly because George was the one who set Lee up to shoot Walker. And Bill suggests that maybe Lee shooting the president doesn't happen anymore because they never hear anything in regards to Lee making any plans. And maybe just by living underneath him change the future. Jake says it's not possible because they haven't interacted with Oswald. And Bill says, why not just kill Lee if he's so sure Oswald did it? Jake says he's not sure because Oswald is involved somehow, and if he kills Oswald, then George has another month or so, give or take a few days or a week, to hire another assassin. Bill is then frustrated because he's heard all this before, but Jake stands his ground and says he won't kill Oswald in cold blood because he's already done it twice before, and it doesn't feel too good. Jake then says if they don't know definitively by the end of the month, then they will kidnap Oswald and incapacitate him till the on the 22nd by either putting him in a car trunk or giving him sleeping pills. Then Jake goes to visit Sadie, who's playing cards with Deke. Deke suggests that that she come back to the school when Sadie says she's feeling down. Then shortly after, Deke leaves to go back to said school. And then once Deke leaves, Sadie tells Jake that her last facial surgery is bumped up to the following day. Sadie then says she wants to be done with hospitals and wonders how he's able to get $8,000 for the surgery. Jake says he has a way and that he'll be careful about it, which obviously means that he's placing bets and everything. Then Sadie, kind of this asks, which is going to be a recurring thing. Tell me more thing about the future. And then when he doesn't really answer that, she asks why he doesn't call the police anonymously and say what's gonna happen. And he's like, well, they screwed up in the past, and they acknowledge it pretty much, and basically he doesn't trust them. And then Jake goes to visit Miss Mimi, and everyone says that they miss Miss Sadie. And then he tells her that Deke expressed this opinion of him asking Sadie to marry him, but he says he can't because he doesn't want to hurt her. Miss Mimi then drops a huge bombshell that she's going to die, or not really going to. Well, she basically says that she's going to die because she says she has cancer, and she says she doesn't have much more time. And Deke has tried to take her to Mexico for experimental treatment. And Jake tries to prod her to go do that, but she's like, Jody's my home, and I don't want to leave my home, basically. Jake then says he wishes she would call him by his first name, and that she would have told her sooner. Miss Mimi then tells him there are two things that she wishes that he would do for her when she passes. One is that she hopes that Jake will be a friend to Deke. The second is that don't put off marrying Sadie, because she and Deke have spent their lives next to each other and not with one another, and for obvious reasons. If you don't know what those reasons are, I don't know what to tell you, because given what the time period is, you pretty much can assume correctly why that is. So if you don't know the reasons why, don't know what to tell you. Jake then goes to place a bet on a boxing match at a bar, and this lady talks, and as he's talking to this lady, he tells her that he wants to bid higher than just a couple of $100s. And so she suggests this guy named Sam that's sitting close by. And so Jake places the bet with Sam, and then leaves. Jake then goes back to the house in Dallas and doesn't find Bill home. Jake then puts the headphones on, listens in, and hears Bill is upstairs celebrating Leah Harvey Oswald's birthday. Then it goes to commercial break, and then after that, Jake goes upstairs, looking for his brother, Bill. Oswald's mother asks if that would be Bill, and Jake confusedly asks, "You know Bill?" And she's like, "Well, everyone knows Bill." And then Bill walks in with Oswald. That's Oswald trying to teach Bill to pronounce this Russian word. Then Jake then asks how long Bill's been coming up to spend time with Oswald. Bill says a couple of times, with things like helping with books and drinking beers, and Bill also says he asked Oswald if he's heard of anything about Ketty, and Oswald says Oswald hasn't, and then Jake says that through gritted teeth that if they mess with the past will push back. Jake then grabs Bill's arm, and then Bill kind of snatches his arm out of Jake's grasp, and in doing so, Bill knocks over a lamp, and Bill gets Oswald to pick up the lamp so that he would notice the bug in the lamp, and Oswald does notice it, and he gets all upset and saying that the FBI is following him, and Bill's like, with this smart aleck fucking smirk on his face, who would follow you? And it's like, and you just want to punch his ass in the fucking face. Like, that's all you want to do is punch his ass in the fucking face. At least I do. And then Jake tries to get Bill to go back downstairs, and Bill refuses, and then Jake goes back downstairs by himself, and then then Jake sees Bill with Marina outside the window, and Bill's kind of, stroking or caressing Marina's cheek. And then when Bill comes back in, he says that he loves him. They get into a fist fight, and then once apart, Bill says he loves Marina loves him, and Bill says that he isn't as dumb as Jake is saying he is, because why didn't Jake notice? Because if he's as dumb as Jake says he is, Jake would have noticed that Bill was spending so much time with Marina and Oswald. Jake then asks what will Marina say if when she finds out that he was failing her for the last 2 years, and Bill's like, don't bring her into this, don't bring her into this, or basically just don't bring her into this, and that basically that he doesn't want to listen, like pretty much every day he's listening to Oswald beat her all day long, and that he doesn't care about. Well, no, scratch that. What Bill says is that Jake doesn't listen to Oswald beat Marina all day, and that he doesn't care about saving anyone anymore, or at least Bill doesn't care about saving anyone anymore. Then Bill threatens to tell Oswald where they place all the bugs, and if Jake tries to stop him, and then Bill says he isn't afraid of Jake anymore because he listened to and did everything Jake asked for the last 2 years. Jake tries to tell him to do anything ever again, he'll kill Jake, and then Bill says for Jake to go back to his girlfriend. The girlfriend Jake is allowed to have, and then Bill says for Jake to go. Says that the place in Dallas is Bill's now, and Bill says to Jake, "F you, F your mission, and F JFK." Before they go to commercial break, and then after the commercial break, Oswald is seen going to the shooting range, and offers to rake the field for spent shells to make up the difference for him not having enough money to go into the shooting range. It's $1.50 to go there, and so eventually the lady lets him go through, and then back at Sadie wants to know what can Jake do about Bill. Like, can he go to police? And Jake feels like by doing that it'll only make things worse, so he decides to go to Bill once Sadie is in the recovery room, and Deke comes to take Sadie to the hospital, and in the hospital Jake and Sadie talk for a little bit. Sadie's like, tell me one more thing about the future, and he's like, well, everyone is glued to their phones with their phones in their hands all day long, and they walk around with their phones all day long, pretty much. And when Jake and Deke walk out of the restricted part of the hospital, Jake turns around and sees the yellow card man behind in the restricted section of the hospital, and he tries to go inside. And as he's trying to go inside, you see in the operating room, the oxygen levels drop and the nitrous oxide levels rise. And then when Jake successfully smashes through through the glass of one of the double doors, he goes into the operating room and stops the operation before Sadie can die. Back at home, Sadie's like, "Oh, woe is me" and shit. And Sadie wonders if she's in the way of what Jake is doing, but he says she isn't. Then back in Dallas, Jake, was about to go up to Bill to, try to talk to him one last time, and but he sees Oswald walk up to Bill first and show him the rifle. And Jake watches Bill, kind of, pull the trigger or the rifle multiple times, though there aren't any actual bullets in the gun yet. And as he watches Bill do this, he says to himself quietly, "the second shooter." And then a little while later, he goes into the house and tells Bill that Marina's at the hospital, is having her second baby as they speak. And Jake says that Marina was asking for him. So Jake brings him to the hospital, but takes him to the psychiatric ward instead of the maternity ward. And then Bill tries to run when he realizes what's going on, and tries to spill the beans on Jake, but he's then captured and medicated. Then he goes to commercial break, and then after the commercial break, Jake commits Bill and makes sure that Bill can't send himself out without Jake. And then the doctor says, "No, that can't happen." And so Jake follows Oswald and sees George give him something outside of the book depository, I think. And then George then drives into an alley that's right next to Jake. And George goes into the flower shop that's right next to the alley. A little while later, Jake is in the backseat of George's car when George gets into his car, and then Jake, pulls a cord around the Mournshield's, throat, but not hard enough to kill him. Jake demands to know what George's friendship with Oswald is and his plan with Oswald. And George says he was only winding Oswald up and told what he knows to his handler. Jake once asked what was in the envelope he gave to Oswald earlier, and George says Oswald waters his lawn, but Jake doesn't buy it, and George then ultimately says that the money, what was in the envelope was money, and he would have given it to Marina directly since she's from Minsk like him, and wants to help her out, but Oswald doesn't like it, and so and it hurts his pride and ego if the morning show does that. So Jake wonders who else is involved to kill Kennedy, and George says he doesn't know and can't kill Oswald because Oswald calls him Uncle George. Before the scene, continues with that, there's a flashback in which Al tells Jake that Jake needs to scratch off the possibility of George being involved. Jake asks if he does that, then what? And Al says kill Oswald, and Jake asks if there's any other way to stop Oswald other than killing him, and Al tells him there isn't. Jake warns George to never talk to Oswald again, back in 1963, and if George tells anyone about the little conversation, that Jake will kill him. Later that night, Jake then calls Sadie from a phone booth. He then tells her that the man he was following before was acting alone and Bill is safe. He then says he's about to go do what he needs to do to get the money for the surgery, and before he leaves, he asks Sadie to marry him, and before she answers, she says, "Tell me one more thing about the future." Jake says that they are married in the future. She says that she likes the sound of that, and he asks if that's her answer. She says to come home to actually get an answer. And when he hangs up the phone, he's confronted by Sam and his cronies. And Jake then runs into the alley to escape and is chased. Jake is caught, then beat up by Sam's cronies. And then once the other guys stop beating him up and he's lying on the ground, Sam tells him that Jake will give him the money that Sam lost, since he was placing bets all over town. And that and Sam tells him the different places he was placing bets at were owned by him. Essentially, it's a monopoly on, placing bets around town. The money that Sam lost totals to $15,000, and Sam tells Jake that Bill placed the same bet in 3 different places. And Sam tells the other guys to beat him up again. And then when Jake says that he will get Sam his money back, the guy is like, I would let you do that under normal circumstances, but seeing as how both you and your brother swindled me, basically, I'm going to make an example out of you because that's what's called for. So then Sam hits Jake with the pistol before Sam and his cronies leave Jake in the alleyway, laying on the ground. And then Jake tries to call away, but he can't. And then sometime later, Jake is taken to the hospital while he's unconscious. And he wakes up in the hospital bed, kind of, and sees Sadie bend over him. But as she's bending over him, it kind of switches from her to his ex-wife, Christy, to her and then Christy, and her and then Christy. He does that for about 30 to 45 seconds, and eventually he calls Sadie Christy, and so it eventually, kind of definitively shows Sadie standing by Jake's hospital bed, and she's wondering if he will be alright, seeing as how he called her by his ex-wife's name, even though she doesn't know for sure that that's his ex-wife's name. So anyway, that's the end of the episode, and I was hoping that Jake would have, someone who he isn't romantically involved with, because I was hoping that he would have someone other than himself to help him with the mission, because I mean it'd be nice for him to have a lifeline so that he could stay grounded in his mission and to try to save JFK. I mean, the choice of Bill really isn't that great, just because I mean, he's already pretty messed up with his sister disappearing, and then his sister disappearing and everything. So I mean, Bill really wasn't that great of a choice. I mean, the only reason why is because Bill was there when he saved Harry's family from being killed. That's the only reason why, I'm assuming. But if it was anybody else who didn't have such a troubled past, then I think it would have worked out with Jake having a partner in all of this. With that said, I mean, I don't really think that him being involved with Sadie was that good of a choice, because being romantically involved with someone will distract you from actually doing a mission, because eventually the more time you spend with this person, the more you're going to want to settle down and have a family with them, and not want to leave whatever time period you're in. So yeah, I agree with Al on the whole front, of not getting romantically involved with someone, because that more often than not will keep you from completing a mission. Um, Especially when it's to save someone else's life, whether it's in the past or the present or whatever. It's gonna end up, stop you from doing what you need to do. Um, so I don't really like the fact that Sadie. I don't really like the fact that Sadie was, or he wasn't romantically involved with Sadie. I don't like that. Um, I mean, anyway, so that's all I have to say about that as far as that goes. And I will say that I figured um, Bill the way Bill screwed everything up in this episode really wasn't that surprising to me. I was hoping that it wouldn't happen, but it really wasn't that surprising, seeing as how he pretty much on multiple occasions beforehand basically screwed everything up for Jake, or almost screwed everything up for Jake previously on multiple occasions. One example is when Jake got the teaching job back in 1960, and they went to go celebrate, and Bill couldn't hold his liquor and had one too many beers to drink, and he basically almost spilled he almost spilled all of the um, he almost spilled the beans and everything, and then that's one instance. And basically Bill's attachment to Marina, like his infatuation with Marina, and it growing over the course of 2 to 3 years, that's another instance where if he continued to do that, it would have ended up screwing things over for Jake. um, and maybe forgetting other instances, but those are the only two that I can come up with off the top of my head. Um, so the only logical explanation that or conclusion that Jake can come up with, is to commit Bill and to make it seem like Bill was crazy. That's the only logical explanation. Otherwise, Bill's gonna eventually, come up with some way to convince other people that Jake is the one who has issues and stuff. So there's that. Now, as far as Miss Mimi goes, I'm a little sad that Miss Mimi is dying of cancer and is going to basically ultimately die, because of the fact that, like, I like Miss Mimi. I really do. I mean, even though we really don't see much of her, I really like her. I really, really like her. I wish she had more of a role in the series. And I'm not sure if Stephen King had written her like that in the book, or if Stephen King and J.J. Abrams took some liberties with her in regards to the show, and just dialed back her character in the series, or what. But I really would have loved to see more of her in the series, because from what I saw of her, I really liked her. Um, and I don't think she deserves to die, at least of all from cancer. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. Let me see what else in this episode. Well, on the whole aspect of Sadie, and getting her to get plastic surgery to kind of minimize the scar as much as possible. I still think that Jake really shouldn't have, like, fixated on helping Sadie, because he still has a fucking mission to do, and he's getting like, I feel like he's getting distracted with Sadie. And it's pretty evident when you in the beginning of the episode, when when Jake comes to meet Bill, and Bill says it'd be nice if you came over more than once a week, and clearly Jake is getting distracted by Sadie. Clearly he's getting distracted by Sadie, because otherwise he'd be there more often. I'm like, yeah, I understand that she's going through a tough time, and she has been going through a tough time with what happened with her ex-husband, but I mean, you still have a mission to do. And this is what I was trying to hammer into Jake before Jake went into the rabbit hole. I was trying to hammer into him that you can't get romantically involved with anyone, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to end up getting distracted from your ultimate goal. And this is what happens. You leave Bill alone for days on end, and you only meet him once a week, and he's going to end up hanging out with the people that you're tailing, because what else is he gonna do? He had no other human contact besides you. So it's not that difficult to understand that because of Jake not spending as much time with Bill as usual, Bill's gonna end up reaching out for human contact, and so because of that he screwed everything up. So ultimately it was Jake's fucking fault that the way things happened, because he had to get romantically involved with Sadie. I mean, all because she was some pretty face. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I think I pretty much hit every vital point. Because there was following. I mean, you saw obviously a little bit more into. You saw Jake, follow Oswald and the Morning Shield and everything. So that's not really anything new. I mean, you've been seeing that happen for pretty much the entire season, so it's not anything new. But there's the whole Sadie operation, and then or helping Sadie with the operation, and Bill's situation, and Bill screwing everything up, and Jake getting involved with Sadie, and but actually on the whole the Morn Shield front, I don't know. I guess that came as a kind of a shock that he pretty much revealed that he really has no part in Oswald killing Kennedy. Oswald pretty much does that of his own accord, basically. I don't know. It's like, I mean, I guess it came as a shock. I mean, I don't really remember what I was feeling when I watched this for the first time, because it was a couple months ago, so I don't really remember. But yeah, that's basically all of it so far. And with that said, please, talk about it with me in the comments below. And I will comment back if you have anything to say. Hit like if you like this video, and if you want to see more videos of me recapping episodes in the future, hit subscribe. And with that, I will see you guys in the next 11/22/63 video. Bye.